Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today I want to talk a little bit about the issues of Pokemon Unite. Now, this is not super new, but I think it's important that I have found my way to a really reasonable explanation for some of the issues that we have. And I don't know why I haven't done this in the past, but I think that this is important. So it's really easy in Pokemon Unite. I want to jump straight into it. It's really easy in Pokemon Unite to say the ranked mode's bad, the matchmaking is bad, blah 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 blah, and kind of spew all this like really short-sighted information about why it's bad and how it's not fun for me. But I think I have kind of failed to deliver the bigger picture. And I was kind of explaining it on my stream last night, and I realized I don't know if I've ever made a video that truly explained everything. And maybe I've never even really thought about it until recently. And I don't really have a good way to present this, so I'm going to show you a couple things on stream, but I'm mostly just reading some notes that I've written down. So hopefully you enjoy the gameplay that's in the background, whatever it is, and we can have a little discussion about this. I'm going to try to make this brief as well. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Also, turn my air conditioner off really quickly. Hopefully that's not making too much noise. But the issue with Pokemon Unite stems from an issue at the very beginning of the game. And that is that this game gives us no information about anything. Nothing. I mean, and again, I didn't realize how much of a trickle-down effect that this was going to have until really sitting down and thinking about it. So what do I mean no communication about anything? I mean, really, think about anything in the game. The game, in-game, doesn't tell you the hidden information about items. It doesn't tell you some of the hidden information about the Pokemon. Early on, they changed this now, but early on, the game didn't even used to tell you if your Pokemon scaled off of attack or SP attack. It does now in-game, but it used to not even say that. And so a lack of information at baseline, like the minute someone starts playing Pokemon Unite, you can basically guarantee that they have no clue what they're doing. And you know, they can give you basic information like scoring wins games, blah 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 blah, but there is a gigantic, this is the number1 issue with Pokemon Unite because it stems to every other issue. It's not the #1 issue that needs to be fixed per se, but it's an issue that naturally exacerbates every other issue that the entire game has. And then some of those other issues would happen regardless. But a lack of information from day one for brand new players, for anybody that touches this game, and for people that have been playing the game and still don't understand things, is a massive issue. I mean, seriously, I don't even know all the things that I could list. Pokemon move scalings, Pokemon stat scalings, the way that items work, their internal cooldowns, the hidden out of combat timings, how much damage is it actually doing, whether or not the Pokemon scales with attack or SP attack, whether or not Wise Glasses would be good for this build, why certain items are... Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the issue with Pokemon Unite is a gigantic gaping hole in communication and information. So my second point is little to no communication. This is specifically on patch notes. The problem with having really bad information and then little to no communication is that when patches come out, unless you're someone that deep dives into the patches like maybe some of us, again, these players will never understand. They'll never understand what's changing. They'll never understand what it even means. So when you load up the game and it says like, oh, Absol move increased or something, you know what I mean? Like, a player who doesn't go out of their way to look that up, to find this information, that means nothing. It means nothing to them, and they'll continue to play what they want to play, what they perceive as good, and unfortunately they'll be misguided, and I think that that's unfortunate. So what does this lead to? Lack of information, lack of communication. Well, first and foremost, I jumped ahead a little bit, but it leads to Pokemon and held item confusion. People just don't know. There is probably a majority of the player base that plays this game doesn't engage with Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook actively. They just don't. They just probably just boot up the game and play, and that's totally fine. You should welcome all kinds of players, but those players should be to some degree at least on an even footing when it comes to information. And so you have confusion about Pokemon, you have confusion about held items, and we know this very clearly. It's really clear. I'm going to try to find a Reddit post. If I put it on the screen, great. If I don't, I'm sorry. I just have to see if I can find it during the editing process. There was recently a Reddit post about a player who was very confused about why Absol was so strong. He was so confused about the strength of Absol that he asked if there was a hidden mechanic where the more you play a Pokemon, the stronger that gets. Now, if you're someone like us, like the majority of us, we know that they patch the game. They come out with balance patches. Sometimes people get buffed. Sometimes our Pokemon get buffed. Sometimes they get nerfed. We understand that that's a silly question, right? But this player had no clue. And I think that that's kind of silly regardless, but it's not for trying, right? Like I was gonna say for lack of trying. It's not for trying, and I don't know if that makes any sense. It's not because Pokemon Unite tried to give him the information. Yeah, sure, they might have posted out that little window where you can quickly press X and close it at the beginning of the game to hide the patch information, but the player just simply had no clue that Absol had been buffed and was very confused as to its strength. As for, that's Pokemon confusion there, so people don't understand the Pokemon. As for held item confusion is incredibly simple to see. If it wasn't for the hard work of UniteDB and Unite API to give us these resources, we wouldn't even know what builds people are using. These websites, these information kind of websites have completely blown the lid on Pokemon Unite, and I want you to really think about this because I do want to give credit where credit is due. UniteDB and Unite API are basically hard carrying this game and this community. Without those websites, we wouldn't have such little context about anything. The matchmaking, the ranked mode, the items that people are using, the information about the game, the characters, the Pokemon, the items. But we know that people are very confused about items. And I've heard some theories, I guess I can't call them anything other than theories about, why do people use like SP items on non-SP characters and like something to do with main series games and like, oh, well, it's confusing in this game compared to main series games. And I could kind of see that, but that's not the issue, right? The issue is that if I'm Machamp, and I used this example last night, and I put Wise Glasses on Machamp, well, if you're a sensible player, you should know that Wise Glasses on Machamp is a zero-sum value. And what do I mean by that? It literally does nothing for the Pokemon. Machamp, he technically has SP, and you can technically raise that value, but it's not going to do anything because he doesn't scale with SP. And the only way you could actually, and I mean literally, if I'm being 100% literal, the only way you can get value out of Machamp SP is if you were to say, throw Wise Glasses on and say, throw a Shell Bell on, because then you would be raising your SP value and then you would be healing more. And that's literal, but we're talking about a 0.01% increase in terms of viable strength, because like, what are you going to have, like 200 SP and then you're going to heal for 40% of that? You're going to heal, do you get my point? Like, it's not there, it's a zero-sum value. It is so close to being 100% useless that it basically is 100% useless. And yet we see it all the time. I'm going to save a screenshot for you of an API that I looked up last night, and we're going to get there. But this is held item confusion. People don't know. They don't know. And the worst part is that these people are taking all of this into ranked every single game, thousands of matches, and they just don't know. But this is the game's fault. It's the game's fault for not teaching players more and for not communicating and not giving information about the game. So my next bullet point, and again, I was skipping ahead a little bit. My next bullet point is low barrier entry for ranked. I forget what it is. Someone remind me in the comments. Isn't it like level 6 or level 8 to unlock ranked? And it's like level 8 or level 10 for like quick play. Like, I don't remember because it's been so long, but we literally unlocked ranked before quick play. We literally unlock ranked before you have a full item built and before you even have 3 item slots. Come on now, right? Like, there's got to be a universe where everybody in the world agrees that that's just stupid, right? That's just stupid. It makes no sense to unlock ranked before unlocking quick play. It makes no sense to unlock ranked when you don't even have items. You're literally a child when you unlock ranked. You just don't know what you're doing. So low barrier entry for ranked is stupid, and that's partially a problem, but it's not even the biggest problem in the world. So we have, I want to recap really quickly. We have poor and lacking information, with little to no communication in terms of updating people on what's happening. So we have Pokemon that people are confused about Pokemon, people are confused about builds and items. We have low barrier entry for ranked, where people are taking all this confusion, their lack of knowledge, the lack of communication that they've been given, they're taking that into ranked, and then we have the bad rank system. Now, why do we have a bad rank system? Well, we have a system that basically promotes everybody. I mean, as simple as that. If you're even somewhat consistent, you're getting promoted. You're getting free rank ups, you're getting performance points, you're hitting 1200 masters, you're losing your way up to 1800, 1900. It's just bad. So I don't need to touch on this very much. This is just objective truth. It is objective truth. Hitting masters is the easiest thing you could do in this game. It's one of the easiest things you can do in this game. And then ranking up in masters with a negative win rate is possible. I'm going to show it to you here in a bit. And if you haven't seen that, I will show it to you. And if you already know this, then we all know this, right? This is a very, very well understood thing that can happen. So all of those negative things leads up to this bad rank system. Another issue that we have is that there's no information on your allies. There's no information on your enemies' builds. There's a lack of information, a lack of context. So someone that does take all of this nonsense, this gigantic amalgamation of bullshit, right? Like people that are confused, they don't know what they're doing, they're way too young and early to be in ranked, not literally young, but their accounts are way too young and early to be in ranked. They're confused, they're lost, they're getting free rank ups, they don't even have item slots. They take all of this and then they jump into this rank system. They don't even get information from the rank system. So the people they're playing against, you don't know what they're running. The people that you're playing with, you don't know what they're running. If you get stomped by someone, it would be super helpful to be able to see what they're running and maybe consider running that yourself. And this also leads into a lack of information in game, which is no death counter. I genuinely believe that if the game had a death counter, it would at least give a little bit of context to a player's individual performance, and it would lead to them maybe fixing some of their bad habits. You know, if a player dies 12 times, 14, 15 times, maybe they would look at that and be like, ooh, that wasn't great. Maybe I should work on that, right? But it's really, really easy in this game to die a bunch and not even think about it. It really is. I do it all the time. I've had bad games where I'm just like, dude, I'm dying a lot. And I don't keep track of the deaths, but if I could see it by pressing start, I would maybe consider how bad of a game I was actually having. And we all have bad games. It's not a problem. So no more information there. Just, you can see this consistent thing of just, you know, lacking information across the board. And this is the entire game's big issue that kind of comes to a head, which is positive versus negative reinforcement. The game is riddled with positive reinforcement. There is basically nothing that ever really deters you from doing anything in this game. You know, if you're using a bad item build, you're still going to do decent enough to climb. If you're using bad Pokemon, you're still going to do decent enough to climb. If you're just queuing up and playing the game, you're going to do decent enough to climb. There's not really ever any negative reinforcement, because even if you're backcapping and throwing games, you're still going to climb. And so there's really just not a whole lot you can do to give the players a feeling of negative reinforcement in order to change their perception of the game and the way that they play the game without actually building it. The game just doesn't have it. So on the screen now, I actually need to pull it up. I'm sorry for my delay. But on the screen, you should be looking at a Unite API image, and it has me kind of looking stressed out on it, but I might cover that up. This is a player that has an overall win rate. So I don't actually know what their account win rate is. It's irrelevant. They have an overall win rate of 48%. And what that means, for the sake of saying, is that they lose more than half their matches. And they are in Masters, the highest rank of the game, and they are in Masters at 1871. That is a pretty high rank. That's a pretty high rank. And this player is using terrible builds. The second one on the list that you should be looking at is the Zero Aura build, and that's really what I want to talk about. Zero Aura with Shell Bell, Choice Specs, and Wise Glasses. 1,021 games. This player has a total battles of 3369. This player has played almost 30% of their matches on Zero Aura, and they are currently using 3 SP items. Zero Aura does not scale with SP. Zero Aura gets little to no benefit. We're talking, like I said, we're talking about maybe a 2% benefit from running these items. You'll raise your SP, you'll get a small increase in damage from Choice Specs, and you will heal yourself by a really small amount. We're talking about such a bad build that there's never any world where anybody that's reasonable at this game would recommend these items on this character. And why? Why does this player do this? Do you think that the player's trolling? Do you think that they're wasting 3,069 games on trolling? No. It's a lack of information. I think that it's very clear that this player is just simply uninformed. And so it's an issue, right? This is the issue. This is the game's big issue. Sure, I can get on here consistently and talk about how the game has a terrible ranked mode, and it does. And sure, I could get on here and talk about how the game has terrible matchmaking, and it does. And sure, I could talk about how the game desperately needs a solo duo queue, and it does. And sure, I could talk about how we need faster patches, more items, better balance notes, better communication from the devs, and it does. It needs all of those things. But at the bare minimum, the game deserves to give players who are not investing their time and content an understanding of the game, a basic understanding of the game, a way to even try to be on an even playing field. This is so unfair that it makes me sad. And I mean literally sad. Like, looking at this screenshot right here, I just feel like this player is literally wasting time of their life, and they don't even know that they're wasting time of their life. Like, they don't even know that they're not enjoying the game to its full potential, because the game hasn't really helped them with that. And it's a little bit of responsibility on their part too, right? Like, he's playing and losing 48%, or only winning 48% of his matches. Like, he or she should be willing to know that they could look into maybe getting better, but that's irrelevant because the game didn't help them with that at all. So some really basic things is, yeah, like I said, all of those things that could be fixed should definitely be fixed, but really simple stuff, like when you put choice specs or focus or shell bell or wise glasses on Zera, why doesn't the game pop up? Like, I did this on my stream last night. Give me one reason why the game doesn't pop up a message and say, hey, Zera, warning, Zeraora is an attack focused Pokemon. Try using items that are focused on attack stat potentially for damage, you know, like that. Like, why doesn't, at bare minimum, the game try to give some kind of information? There's no good answer, I promise. We've explored it, but this video is going a little bit long. I just wanted to share my piece today on what's going on with Pokemon Unite, and this is a different side of the issue. This is truly a different side of the issue. The lack of information it's bad. It's really bad. So, friends, I'll leave it there. Drop a like in the video, subscribe for future Pokemon Unite content, comment and let me know what you think, because there's so much about Pokemon Unite that needs to be fixed, and it all comes down to one small issue that exacerbates the next, that leads to the next, that exacerbates the next, and it's just issue after issue after issue after issue that becomes multiplicative, and we have all of these little bitty issues, and then it leads to us having a game with a bad ranked mode, a game that feels like it's hard to engage in and play consistently, a game that feels like it's not worth playing or grinding, and ultimately a game that might be struggling to retain players. So I'd love to know your thoughts. As always, be sure to be kind to one another, tell someone you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.